What's going on, guys? Pegasus from the Wise Guys. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. This is a fun-filled tech video where we got to talk about some interesting techs that I feel like you might potentially want to play, especially going into this new format. Wanted to start off by talking about where AIRFAIRGAMING, a lot of decks that play specific cards like Rabina, specific cards like Drytron Alpha, and all of the Drytrons, all of the Fluanderies have many level 1s, and if that is the case inside of your deck, whatever deck that is, also purely, if you're thinking about that as well. But definitely, guys, you have the ability to search Kirikara and Diva Incarnate. Now, obviously, you'll get burned for the 2000 because most of the time you're not going to normal summon them. However, you will have them in your hand and they're directly and immediately addable. And I really like that because it really has a strong control of the game. If you know that your opponent loses hardcore to a card like Drolan Lockbird or Kirikara, which a lot of the decks still do, and everybody will be playing them. The next card I wanted to mention, obviously, is Dr. Frankenderp. I've been messing around with Gold Pride, and I'm not a really big fan of Punk, so I wanted to really try to find something else, and that something else for sure is Dr. Frankenderp. Dr. Frankenderp is really, really strong because it gives you the ability to look at the top card of your deck and then place that card on the bottom of your deck, or just flat out add it to your hand. But if you do, you skip your next draw phase. Now that's really good because of the draw phase ability being skipped. You can also E-Telly on your opponent's turn to pretty much set up a Reckless Greed style of effect of only losing one draw phase but adding 2 cards. And in a deck like that where you won't have the Punk engine but instead have hand traps in that spot potentially, with a strong deck like Gold Pride to obviously smack your opponent with dropping your life points to do really powerful effects and spam the field and drop the exceeds and the fusions and more onto the field and then run back off of the field in a Cosmo style of effect. I really like Gold Pride. It's a lot of fun, and for that, make sure you look out for the deck profile coming soon. I literally am messing around with some more fun stuff, so I guess we show that off real quick. Tour Guide is really powerful. It's a 1-card combo in the deck, but I'm still kind of messing around with stuff. But E-Telly, and then obviously Ready Fusion and Instant Fusion to make up for the space that you will have because you aren't using a lot of the Punk engine. The Punk engine takes up a lot of space, and I'm not the biggest fan of the engine anyway. So with that being said, guys, I really feel like that's just a really powerful card that you can experiment with, and just having the ability to get its effect off of being specialed off of E-Telly. You can use E-Telly as kind of like a trap to add. It's kind of like Heat Soulish. I like the card a lot. Protector of the Agents, Moon, Fucho, and Princess Sprite. I'm just mentioning them really quickly because a lot of the purely decks, I'm not seeing everyone play that, and I feel like you should have something for something like Anti-Spell or something that you just flat can't out, like Spell Canceller. And then obviously you got cards like Princess Sprite to give you massive card advantage, and Fucho to protect you in case things go wrong. Obviously Fucho is always really strong, and birds are chirping. Moving on to the Kashtira part of this video, I wanted to talk quickly about just some of the cards that can help you tech out your Kashtira deck. Obviously, if you've seen the Ready for Duel combo videos where they really just highlight all of the Raiders Wing and crazy stuff that you can do with some of the other exceeds like Evil Swarm Nightmare and on, etc. I really feel like that's a really strong thing to have an Evil Swarm Nightmare be spammed out onto the field essentially, and then also have that sitting next to an Arise Heart. That may be really strong. You may not want to do all that, so you may be specifically relying on really powerful tech cards like Magnet Reverse, which basically can get it back from anywhere. But if that's the case, then you probably will want to tilt your deck more so towards trying to banish everything that your opponent is doing that way, and even in the side deck probably with macro. That way they obviously always have the Arise Heart banished out of play, and if it is banished out of play, it can come right back, especially off a card like Preparations. But I feel like it's really slow to play the trap at 2 and then like play like 2 or 3 ogres, and that can just get weird and clunky. But if you're trying to play a control style, that may be the best way because people still lose to a card like Dimensional Fissure. Last but not least, I wanted to kind of highlight a really powerful tech card that I feel like is going to be really important. Now, obviously, as I kind of came across this as of late, this combo, it's just absolutely insane. Just let you guys see that. Could do the combo, but sometimes people, this is how I kind of break down my combos when I do them. I I write them down completely. That way I can completely understand it. That way I can completely explain it. And then you go from there. So have at that if you will. Have fun with that. It's really, really strong. And it's Foolish Burial Goods is at the core of that. And because of that, I really feel like with the hit to the Purely deck, you probably want to add Foolish Goods in that slot to be able to get to the card that you want to anyway, which most of the time that was Delicious Memory for most people, you know. And now you probably just rely on I forget I'm not very good with the names. They're obviously like dwarf stuff. You probably just lead more often with Sleepy or Pretty, but you know, I'm not a big lover of the deck, but it's really, really strong. The other reason I wanted to mention Foolish Burial Goods is because of Rainbow Bridge of Salvation being at the core of that combo that I also showed, and that leading to any field spell that you want, and basically with that being able to set up any kind of crazy board off of always getting to the field spell and essentially having the extra negate. Guys, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Let me know what you think about all these texts down in the comments. Enjoy this format and happy dueling. Pegasus out. Arrivederci. What's going on, guys? Pegasus from the Wise Guys, and we're here with Captain Headass himself. Captain Head. Instead of doing a profile right here, we're doing a tech video, and I like this card because it actually would have caught me in the game that we played. I wanted you to take away the honors, though, bro.
So this plays around all the stuff that other players are not playing around. And it's just basically it's a negate for branded. So on your Albaz, when you do branded fusion, you send your light target. This is always the one you send. And when this goes to the graveyard, you send a Brandon spell trap from your deck. Usually you set people set Brandon red, your Chimera plays or whatever, but you set this trap to play around Dark Ruler, play around Evenly, it's just a negate.
And how does it interact with them specifically? It just negates the effect.
So basically the effect is you choose one monster, one fusion monster that has Albaz in its text and negates every other card face up on the field.
That's actually ignorant. So it's kind of like Apophis for branded then?
Yeah, so basically if you're ending on Mirror Jade, your Mirror Jade still is active. Right. Everything else is negated. So they go evenly. Chain. Mirror Jade's still alive. I still have my back row.
The end.
I still have my Schism. I still have my Retribution. I still have my Brandon Red.
And this is a comment out of the
new set? It is a comment out of the new set. It also has another effect. So you can only use each of the effects once per. You can only use one of the effects per turn. So you can't do both. But the other effect is if you send a fusion monster that turn to the graveyard, you can add it back to your hand.
Yeah, it's cost.
Say it again.
If a fusion monster is sent to the graveyard, you can add it back from your graveyard to your hand.
So how would you apply this card in a real situation? All the branded players already got it in their head, but I'm not a branded player, so you got to explain it.
So basically, you're playing this going first to stop any board breakers, or it's just a negate. Stop starters, stop everything. Then you basically add it back to your hand, so your turn 3, your turn 4, you can do it again and just win the game.
I like it, bro.
Because it doesn't take anything to get it back to hand. Oh, you send the monster to the graveyard, add it back to hand.
So 10 out of 10 tech, 10, is it a 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10?
I think it's a 10 out of 10. I've used this card all day.
Because you out the specific cards that everybody's playing, like the Dark Ruler and the Evil. Okay, bro. Okay, I see you. Tech time. We out.